Long before video games dominated the market, families used to sit around the bridge table and play board games. Some are still popular, like the Settlers of Catan. But for sheer longevity, nothing beats the classics.
Barry Mitchell at the Museum of American Finance on Wall Street. Who really invented the board game Monopoly? Was it Charles Darrow on a piece of oilcloth in his kitchen? George Parker and his brothers in Massachusetts? Colonel Mustard in the library with the candlestick?
That's not Monopoly, that's Clue.
We always played at Christmas, on Christmas Eve, and we always made clam chowder. I grew up very close to the ocean. So it's strange, whenever I play Monopoly now, I always crave clam chowder.
Mary Pilon is the author of The Monopolists, Obsession, Fury, and the Scandal Behind the World's Favorite Board Game. Is it true the Parker brothers actually invented the game, or is that a lot of bull?
For years, Parker Brothers told the story that Charles Darrow had invented the game during the Great Depression, and that during, dark times, he went into his basement and innovated and created this game, sold it on his own, and then later sold it to Parker Brothers. The problem is it's not exactly true. The game actually originated with a woman who got a patent for her landlord's game in 1904, and had a whole life long before Parker Brothers came into the picture.
And this woman's name was?
Lizzie McGee.
What kind of person was she?
So she was pretty unusual for her time. She was a very outspoken feminist. She was a follower of Henry George, who was a very prominent political economist at the time. So she makes her landlord's game as a teaching tool to teach people about Henry George and single tax theory. And it's very much a protest against the monopolists of her time, the Carnegies, the Rockefellers, things like that.
Big trust.
Exactly.
5, 6, 7. Chance.
This is exciting.
This is exciting. This chance?
Okay, yes it is.
Is that chance? Occupy Wall Street, get tear gas, go directly to jail. Only kidding.
I teach at Monmouth University, and I also teach at Long Branch High School, 11th and 12th graders, advanced placement courses, including advanced placement macroeconomics.
Professor Noah Lipman uses Monopoly in the classroom.
We use it to show money supply. We use it to show whether or not inflation would happen because of overprinting of money. We use it to show how people can control the financial system based upon the amount of money that's being circulated in the system.
In the 1920s, a pre-Parker Brothers version was popular with Quakers living in Atlantic City.
And they would have Monopoly nights, and they called it the Monopoly game. And they added Atlantic City properties because early versions of the game people localized. So you had Philadelphia boards, you had New York boards, you had Boston boards.
Predating Parker Brothers, many people played a version of Monopoly. One of them was Dan Lehman. Tell me about him.
So Dan Lehman had played the game as a college student at Williams College. He played it in his fraternity, which was a common place that the game was being played way before Parker Brothers had purchased the game. So he tries to sell the game on his own, and he markets it as finance. And if you look at the finance board, it looks a lot more like Monopoly than even Lizzie McGee's landlord game.
The big Monopoly tournament continues here at the Museum of American Finance, and we're speaking to Frank, who in real life is actually a financial analyst.
There's such a big human element to the game that I really don't think my background is that much of an advantage.
I've always enjoyed the game, playing it with family members and friends.
And what do you do for a living?
I work for the National Park Service.
You know what? For talking to me, I'm going to buy you a railroad.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you.
In this era of video games, why are certain board games, like Monopoly especially, still popular?
So I love video games too, so I come at this embracing both worlds. I think there's this interesting backlash to a lot of technology. So we love our smartphones, we love our laptops, we also love getting away from them. So I think there is a return to kind of the more simple face-to-face elements of it.
And what became of Lizzie McGee? Did Parker Brothers beat the mother of Monopoly at her own game?
They gave her some kind of small buyout.
$500.
$500 to take over the game, which clearly was a classical mistake of Monopoly.
I don't think Lizzie McGee is totally forgotten today. I think that, for one, her game is played everywhere, and her story was lost for a really long time. But now it's out there, and here we are talking about her. So how can we even think to say that she's been forgotten?
When I was in college, we were sitting around the newspaper office saying, "We're bored." One of my friends, Randy Rock, said, "Let's make a board game about being bored." So we came up with Monotony.
Wow.
We published this in the Queens College newspaper Newsbeat in the centerfold. Instead of community chest, we had things that said, "You hand in a factory term paper, turns out it was written by your professor. Lose 3 credits." Should I show it to the people that manufacture Monopoly?
I'd keep it under your hat.
Barry Mitchell for Arts in the City.
You're watching CUNY-TV, the City University of New York.